Hi, Riffat, how are you?
Good, Deepak. How are you?
Thank you so much for inviting me to your home.
Thank you for honoring me with this interview.
Please tell me a little bit about yourself. Like you said, you grew up in Washington, D.C. What
hmm
was your childhood like?
Oh my gosh, my childhood was really fun
Hmm.
and very family oriented. And so basically, I grew up in, Northern Virginia, went to school and everything. And what I remember is my parents always sponsoring family members. So we always had family members staying with us. And there was one particular family member, Munia, my cousin, and she had cerebral palsy. And so it was because of her that I actually went into special education. Um, I remember when she was in Dhaka, Bangladesh, and my grandparents had constructed like this parallel bar so she could walk,
Hmm.
right? And then she came here and she needed services, and so I remember telling them, okay, for this county public schools,
Hmm.
kind of thing, it would be good and stuff. So she was the one who actually inspired me to go into special education. So
That's your education, like master's?
I have
Okay.
a master's in special education in ESOL.
Okay. And what did your father do?
So my
To,
father was a pharmacist, a retail pharmacist for a giant food, and he was constantly working, constantly working. Um, I would basically just call him up and be like, "Dad, can you get like jelly beans or something? Just like candy." He'd be like, "Okay," and he'd come home with jelly beans. So, but because he was in retail, that's actually how I started in retail too. So ever since I was 16, I started working in pharmacy in the retail section. And I have a love affair with grocery
in
stores.
DC areas, right?
Yes,
Okay, very nice. And
yes.
you have no you didn't grow up in Bangladesh, right? That's where your family is
No, but
from.
we went back there
Okay,
frequently.
okay. Do you
hmm
have strong connection ties back home with your parents' family in where you from Dhaka? From Dhaka?
Noah Kali,
No,
yeah.
Kali.
But my
Okay.
family, so my father's side of the family is from Dhaka.
Mhm.
My parents are cousins,
Mhm.
so then with partition got separated.
Okay.
This whole thing.
Mhm.
So my connections are mostly like a heritage sort,
Mhm.
and but a lot of my family is here, so it's like I'm an American, I'm a Muslim,
Mhm.
with South Asian background, you know.
Is that your identity? How you see yourself, like American Muslim?
Well,
Okay.
actually, Muslim American.
Muslim American.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Very nice. And growing up, did you feel more South Asian Muslim than American, or how was it?
So that was the thing. Growing up, it was so American,
Mhm.
but it was also like culturally Bengali
Mhm.
mixed in with the religious part, like say your prayers, do this, do that. Um, we didn't really understand why we had to say our prayers, kind of thing. And that's why I'm rediscovering this now.
Mhm.
So, and mixing with my American friends,
Mhm.
but then being Bengali, we would go to all these Bengali parties,
Mhm.
the dawats,
Right, right.
yeah,
Davats, yes.
kind of thing. So, constantly going to all these parties and these Tagore, what I used to call Ba fests, like
Mhm.
the singing parties, right?
Mhm.
But at that age, Robindra Tagore sounded like, like a Ba fest. So my
Uh,
cousins and I would joke around like, "Oh, it's another Ba fest."
right, right,
But now I have huge respect for Tagore.
right, right. Tagore is very massively, respected in
Yes,
India.
exactly. Yes.
Um, so you said like the three aspects. The one was American, and then there's the religious aspect, and then the Bengali culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
Three blended into one, right?
Mm-hmm.
So and
I'm still marrying them all together.
okay, okay, right, right, right. What stands out more? Like which one? Like are you more like you can be Muslim, but Muslim can be from anywhere in the world,
mm-hmm.
but are you more Bengali? You're more proud of being Bengali Muslim or more American Muslim? What is it?
Honestly,
Yeah,
freedom.
freedom. Oh, very nice. Talk about it,
Yeah,
please.
because and I have the freedom to talk about my feelings, to speak about my feelings. And when I have gone to other countries, Muslim countries, like for example, I went to Turkey and I wanted to go for Jummah prayer,
Mhm.
Friday prayer, right? And so, my host, Dr. Esther, was like, well, the women don't really go to um, don't really go for Friday prayer here. So I was like, okay, I will just say my prayers in the house, kind of thing. And but the thing here in America, like the American like Muslim experience, the West experience is so different. It's like it's easier to practice your religion here, but harder to maintain it because of all the distractions. And so, versus when you're, I feel like in a Muslim country, and then you have all these gender intersectionalities.
So you love the freedom part of um, being able to practice your religion, say what you want, and you
and wear what I want,
wear what you want, and that you get all of that most in America. Is that what you're saying? Okay.
My faith solidified my freedom.
Oh, wow. So then you like how does your faith make you more free?
So that's the whole thing, with this, it's only in the last 5 years that I've become really spiritually, religious with Islam and everything. But it's about, what's it called? Your relationship with Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. There's a freedom to develop that kind of relationship as long as you do the 5 pillars, say your prayers and everything. But it's all very such a personal relationship, um, and being kind to one another. There are no boundaries with that. People think there are boundaries, but there are no boundaries with being kind to your fellow human, kind of thing. And so my strength, my trust in Allah Subhanahu wa Taala actually has, like, it's like released these inherent boundaries we place on ourselves. What we think we can do, we can't do. And
so that gives you a lot more like freedom to do what you want, right?
Yeah, exactly. When you relinquish all your like worries to a higher power, you get more free to be the way you want to be.
Also, you feel like you don't have to make all the decisions for somebody else.
Yes.
Watching you.
Yes. Right? Yes. Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Because it can be very stressful when you have to weigh each pro and con of what you do, especially when it comes to charity. It's like people are all, like, oh, I need financial assistance. This, okay, and then you're like, okay, do they really need it? And all that, like, ifs, ands, and buts kind of thing can get so stressful, and you're wondering, are you really doing it for Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, or are you just doing it for yourself? And so when you release that, and you're like, you know what, and you believe that there's a time and place for everything, and there's a reason why every person has come into your life, and for a reason that's the other, then it's easier, to just do what you're supposed to do. So
I think it's a nice segue to get into your work of your organization, Campus of Humanity.
Compass of Humanity is.
What is it? What is the motive? What is the objective of that?
So, in 7th grade, I was in a. My dad makes fun of this, in a good way. He said, Mimi's always been a peer helper. So I was horrible in school, but I was always really good with like connecting with people and making friends, social butterfly kind of thing. And so being a peer helper means I help my friends with understanding situations. So Compass of Humanity came about when I was doing a lot. I was working with a lot of different organizations, like with Techno Relief, Radiant Hands, Gulf Coast Jewish Services, and everybody. That's what I realized. Everybody all needs the same things. They need food, they need housing, they need a job. And so I would actually go and buy food for them. And so it was coming to a point where when financially it was like looking like, okay, what food is for us and what food was for a family. So basically we set up Compass so that I could actually put the charity in one pot, and make it easier when financially easier to figure out how much money is going to that and how much is going to the house.
So who are the people who are being helped?
So I started off helping like the Syrian refugees back in 2017, and then from then on it's moved on to the Afghani refugees, and I've always helped with people with disabilities because that's my background in the school system. And now I do a lot. I go globally. I help with like disaster relief situations with the earthquake. Inshallah, I am planning to go back to Gaza, although it's really difficult. But that is, and also Northwest Syria, inshallah. So Um,
You also went to
so
Turkey, right?
yes, yes, I did. Because they had a massive earthquake in February,
Mm-hmm.
and so I went to the provinces that were destroyed, and I went to one particular province. It's
Mm-hmm.
called Hatay, and
Mm-hmm.
so there's an area called Antakya,
Mm-hmm.
and so it has a biblical. It's an ancient civilization. It
Mm-hmm.
was actually the place where Christians were first called Christians,
Mm-hmm.
and so to hear that this whole city was completely destroyed, I was like fascinated, and I really felt like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was calling, come see my good destruction and see my perfection. So but there's also another factor added to it as to why I went to the earthquake. I wanted to distribute the money that was donated to Compass and distribute it personally to the people there and make sure that it got there. That's the other thing is I'm a very personal person.
Mm-hmm.
Like I want to make sure that if I'm buying food, it goes directly to the person. If I'm giving money, it goes directly to the person. There's no like middleman sort of thing. So
And you do that on a regular basis, or you and this organization is only you main, there's a main person, or do you have other your whole team?
well, so it's interesting. So yeah, Faisal and myself are like on the board, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then I will consult with like different masjids about their needs and stuff. Um, and I also have contacts in Turkey and Syria. And for example, now in Syria, my contact Garam Kelly, he was talking about setting up like a house for women, a safe space, right? And so for next year, it's like okay, let's see if we can do something like that. So it's kind of like it's that's my team of support,
Mm-hmm.
So
And so you is that the only thing that is keeping you busy, or do you have other branches of this organization that you do stuff?
um so
Mm-hmm.
I also work with so the whole point of Compass is we work with the disadvantaged,
Mm-hmm.
the displaced, the marginalized, and the vulnerable. So those are always like the women, the children, and your minorities, right, and your
Mm-hmm.
refugees, right. So so now for 2024 I'm actually focusing on the Muslim prisoner
Mm-hmm.
coming out of the prison system and re-entering the community, because what they what's happened is we have a lot of converts
Mm-hmm.
who discover their deen in the jail, right, but when
Mm-hmm.
they come out and are welcome to the community, they don't necessarily find that welcoming part. They find that they're not welcome in the community because of the stigma of
Mm-hmm.
being in the correction system.
Right.
So I'm actually involved in setting up a halfway house,
Okay.
like a sober living house for formerly incarcerated Muslims.
Right. And
Mm.
you said that you also host sometimes some refugees in your house. Is it part
Yeah,
of the your organization? Or you like?
because they yes, it was like short term housing assistance.
Mm.
It was a big family, of 10, and it was all females, and I helped
Mm.
one of the sisters deliver her baby Hafsa,
Mm.
and I just wanted to, we had the space. I just wanted to save them some rent and just see how it would be like, kind
Right.
of thing. Um, and so yeah, and it was a great experience. I actually helped Sheba learn how to drive.
Mm.
And she got her driver's license on the second try.
Oh wow.
So yeah, so and then you see my car and everything. I even have like a student driver magnet on the back.
Right. Are you because you grew up in America, you're born and raised here.
Mhm.
Are you able to relate to the refugees and their um, sense of displacement and okay.
Yes, 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 yes. Well, because I realized, they didn't ask to be put here, right? They were just like, especially with the Afghan population, it was like we pulled out, and then the Taliban was in fear of that. They had to come to a safe space, and this was their safe space.
Mm.
So, but they didn't ask to come here.
Mm.
I mean, you know what I'm saying. So, I mean, they did, but they didn't. So helping them.
How do you think how much of trauma they are in when they are here, like found themselves in a totally new place, new language, new
Hmm.
rules, new lifestyle, and um, what kind of a mental state that they are in when you let them, like, trying to teach them how to drive and
Yes, 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 yes. And that's the thing. Like the rules and regulations are pretty difficult.
right.
The fact, like, okay, you have to have your child in a car seat. You know, you
Right.
cannot just you cannot just have your child in your lap while you know in the back seat. You have to have a child in a car seat. So that kind of stuff is difficult when they're not used to it, right? Kind of
But
thing.
you explain to them
But
that
I
look,
explained to them, you
okay,
know, like this country is built on rules and regulations to keep us all safe.
right.
You know, that's the whole premise.
And you think they coming here is definitely better than where they were before, right? So how do you feel about that?
It is.
Mhm.
It is better. It is better because they're safe,
Mhm.
right? But what I do tell them is don't lose your roots.
Mhm.
You know, this the country is a great country, but there's so many distractions. You don't lose your deep, don't lose your roots. Remember that where you came from, and that will ground you.
Do you think you even though you grew up here, you didn't come from anywhere. You were just born and raised here, and you
Mm-hmm.
seem like you are quite you're not losing your roots at all, right? And what do you think? Why do you think? And how do you know what are your roots and why are you not rooted in American culture? And how do you separate the two? Like they actually lived in Afghanistan or
Mm-hmm.
Syria, but they have the roots there and they will never lose it.
Mm-hmm.
But you actually lived here, right?
Mm-hmm.
You still seem to have your mother's, customs and
Mm-hmm.
following it. And so, how do you decide that these are my roots, even though you were born and raised and went to school here? Is it because of your family? That's the family culture.
Mm, I know it sounds redundant, but it's my faith. Like I mean that's the whole thing.
Right.
Like I feel like I was placed here for a reason,
Right. Okay.
you know, versus other places, kind of thing. And so those are it's like I'm rooted, but I'm rootless. Does that make sense?
It
And I
does.
think that's
It
I
does.
think
Beautiful.
that's the whole thing. I'm rooted, but I'm rootless. You know, for example, like I'm keeping in touch with my families in Gaza. You
Hmm.
know,
Hmm.
and they're sending me, what's it called, pictures and stuff. And then I ask them, what do you need? And then PayPal is excellent because all these refugees all have a digital wallet upon itself. It really is like how much more can I do to say thank you?
Right.
And so, you know, going to the earthquake was actually one of my ways I wanted to say thank you. You know, and and that's it. And then each time I go, there's something. And then when I come back, there's always something else I want to do, something bigger. You know, it's never enough. Helping is never enough. Hey, Lola. You know, but I also have to remember my family and everything. So keep that into context.
Well, thank you so much, Rufat, for your time, and it was a lovely conversation.
Oh, no
Thank you.
problem. No problem. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you.
No problem. Yeah, I was gonna tell you, I'm a very like being ADHD. I'm a very like weaver type of communicator.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.